Hey Redditors, lately I've been thinking, has anyone else dealt with people who say one thing but do another? It's infuriating when they pretend to be friendly only to sabotage you. Why can't they just be honest about their intentions? Why resort to humiliation when a simple, honest conversation could resolve issues? Let's begin from the beginning. I was working as a waitress at a busy bar 2 years ago when I noticed a stranger, now my husband, sitting alone looking utterly devastated. His eyes were puffy and red like he'd been crying for hours. I felt a pang of sympathy, so I approached him with a soft drink. On the house, I said, setting the glass on the table. He didn't acknowledge me, but he did take the drink. His hands shook as he grasped the glass and he downed it in one gulp. Then he just held the glass, clutching it so tightly it shattered. Huge cuts opened up on his palms, but he didn't even flinch. I flinched, grabbing napkins to stem the bleeding. Hey, are you okay? I asked, concerned, but he just stared blankly, no reaction, no emotion. I tended to his cuts, feeling a mix of worry and curiosity. What was going on with this guy? As I cleaned up the broken glass, he still didn't say a word, just sat there, lost in thought. I wanted to make him talk to lighten his mood, so I told him, "Get that wound checked. Don't want it getting infected." It sounded harsh, but it seemed to catch his attention, and he looked at me for the first time. His gaze held a piercing intensity, like he was searching for a lifeline. He finally spoke and asked, "What about the wound in my heart? Will it heal, or will it just keep bleeding?" Then he paused and resumed. "Does time really mend all wounds, or does it just mask the pain? Can you ever truly move on, or do the scars stay forever?" His deep questions left me speechless, wondering the same uncertainties. Upon seeing my silence, he concluded that I didn't have the answers and turned around. After some reflection, I finally found the answer we had been searching for. I shared my newfound understanding with him. I said, "Healing requires confronting our pain, acknowledging our vulnerabilities, and nurturing our growth," I explained. "It's not instantaneous, but with patience and persistence, progress replaces agony and life prevails." My words seemed to resonate with him, and I could see the weight of his question lifting. I continued, "Some wounds may never fully disappear, but they can transform, allowing us to flourish in ways we never thought possible." In that moment, I knew I had provided the answer he was seeking, and unexpectedly found solace for myself as well. We kept on talking, and as our conversation continued, his curiosity about the healing process deepened. He wondered aloud how to mend the wounds that had left him feeling shattered. I listened attentively, recognizing the desperation in his voice. I shared my thoughts on the transformative power of vulnerability. "Sometimes," I said, "all it takes is sharing your story with someone who will listen without judgment. It can be incredibly freeing." I explained how talking to someone, even a stranger, can bring relief, allowing the weight of our emotions to be shared. "It's not always about finding solutions," I added, "but about finding solace in the knowledge that you're not alone." After some time, he began to open up to me, a stranger he'd likely never see again. This anonymity seemed to give him the courage to confess. He confessed that he had been married for 20 years and had a daughter with the woman he loved. But his world shattered when he discovered her infidelity with his business partner. The pain was still raw, especially today, the day they finally got divorced. He had come straight to the bar, seeking solace in tequila. 2 hours and multiple shots later, surprisingly, his words remained clear without a slur. Yet the alcohol had loosened his emotions, allowing him to reveal his deepest sorrow. He also revealed he has his 16-year-old daughter in joint custody as she can't live without her mom and her dad, him. As he shared his heartfelt struggles, I listened intently, acknowledging the sensitivity of his family dynamics. Recognizing the depth of his emotional pain, I gently suggested seeking professional guidance from a therapist. I happened to have a bunch of business cards from a trusted therapist who had shared them with me earlier. I offered one to him, encouraging him to take the first step towards healing. I told him that with a neutral and non judgmental space, a therapist can help you unpack your emotions and find coping strategies. He seemed receptive, and I hoped this connection would bring him the support he desperately needed. Our thought provoking conversation came to a close and he left. The next morning he returned searching for me, but I was nowhere to be found. My colleagues explained my night shift schedule and he understandingly accepted it. Undeterred, he began visiting the bar every night, arriving an hour before closing time, eager to have meaningful conversations. Initially, our conversations were brief, but we soon found ourselves opening up to each other as if we'd known each other for years. He revealed that he'd started therapy sessions, but progress was slow, leaving him frustrated. I listened empathetically, reassuring him. Given the depth of your wounds, healing will take time, but it will come. I shared words of encouragement. Your persistence is admirable. Recovery may be slow, but with continued effort, you'll find peace. His eyes, once filled with despair, now sparkled with renewed hope. As our bond grew, I noticed a remarkable change. He shifted from alcohol to soft drinks, signaling a healthier path. With each passing night, our conversations delved deeper, fostering a sense of understanding, and eventually we fell in love. After a whirlwind romance, we decided to tie the knot. Our grand wedding was attended by many, but one notable absence was my stepdaughter, whom I had yet to meet in person. She had consistently evaded me whenever I visited her father's house. The inevitable encounter finally occurred the day after our wedding. I walked into our home expecting a peaceful afternoon, but instead found myself face to face with my stepdaughter. Apparently exhausted from avoiding me, she had decided to confront her emotions. However, our introduction was far from pleasant. She greeted me with hostility, her eyes flashing with resentment. Her behavior was erratic and she threw tantrums, making it clear she struggled to accept me. Examples of her outbursts included slamming doors and stomping her feet, yelling accusations, "You're replacing my mom," and "You're ruining our family," refusing to address me directly, instead hurling questions at her father. "Why did you marry her?" And "Don't you still love Mom?" Storming out of rooms only to return with renewed anger. Despite her turbulent emotions, I remained calm and empathetic, recognizing her pain and confusion. I knew building trust would take time, patience, and understanding. My husband, visibly embarrassed by his daughter's outbursts, sternly addressed her behavior. His firm tone conveyed his disapproval, and he shot me an apologetic glance. However, I quickly reassured him with a gentle smile and a comforting touch. "Don't worry, I understand. This is a difficult adjustment for her." Following the intense confrontation, my stepdaughter reverted to her avoidance strategy, spending most of her time at her mother's house. I saw this retreat as a temporary coping mechanism, a sign that she was rebuilding her emotional defenses. Despite the setback, I remained optimistic, consistently reassuring my husband that his daughter would eventually accept our marriage. "She'll come around," I'd say. "Not tomorrow, perhaps, but soon enough." I believed that with patience, love, and consistency, she would gradually warm up to our new family dynamic. I truly think she'll learn to appreciate me and our bond will grow, I tell my husband, alleviating his concerns. Our married life was quiet and lonely. Our big house felt empty, with only daily visits from servants who did their jobs and went home to their families. It was a beautiful home, but the silence and tension made it feel hollow. My stepdaughter would visit her dad sometimes, usually when she missed him dearly, but when she saw me, her expression would change. She'd get upset, her face would scowl, and she'd shout at me and order me to leave. This upset my husband, and he'd scold her, trying to explain that I was now a part of their family. After each outburst, she'd storm out, leaving us in an uncomfortable silence. I realized my presence made things worse, so I took a step back. Whenever I knew she was coming, I'd leave before she arrived and stay with my parents for a while. This way, they could spend quality time together without me causing tension. I wanted my husband to have a positive relationship with his daughter, even if it meant sacrificing our time together. My husband understood the reason for my absence and tried to fix things, to bridge the gap between his daughter and me. He had heart to hearts with her, explaining that I loved and cared for him and that I wasn't replacing her mom. However, his daughter refused to accept me. She drew a line, and my husband was caught in the middle. He gave her a choice: accept our family as it was or live with her mom. In the end, she chose to leave and live with her mom, totally cutting off contact with us. It was a painful decision, but my husband understood her needs. Right after my stepdaughter left, my husband hit rock bottom. He felt betrayed and lonely, and it brought back memories of when I first met him. But this time, he had me as his wife. I hugged him tight as he broke down, and he clung to me, tears streaming down his face. I held on, whispering, "You're not alone, I'm here." Eventually, I got him to eat dinner and convinced him to get some rest. He crashed, exhausted, and I stayed right beside him. Adjusting to his daughter's sudden absence was tough for him. He was heartbroken, and it started affecting his work. Thankfully, his boss and colleagues were supportive, easing his workload. To cope, he revisited therapy and psychiatric sessions, which helped him gradually come to terms with the loss. It took about a year, but eventually he began to heal. Although the scar remained, he returned to his normal self. I began to think about having a baby, hoping it would bring new joy and help fill the void left by his daughter's absence. Having a child wouldn't replace her, but it could be a fresh start. When I surprised him with the news of my pregnancy with my husband, his face lit up with delight. I couldn't tell if he was genuinely over his daughter's absence or just thrilled about the new addition, but his mood undoubtedly brightened, and so did mine. The next few months were a whirlwind of excitement. He fussed over me constantly, ensuring I ate well, rested enough, and took prenatal vitamins on time. He'd cook my favorite meals, surprise me with foot massages, and anxiously attend every prenatal appointment. He'd beam with pride, showing off my growing belly to friends and family. His worries seemed to fade away, replaced by anticipation and joy. Even his professional life began to flourish again. Home cooked breakfasts in bed, impromptu shopping trips for baby essentials, and heartfelt conversations about our future together became the norm. For the first time in a long while, our household felt truly happy. Just when we thought we'd move on, my stepdaughter reappeared after a 2 year absence. Now an 18-year-old legal adult, her return came unexpectedly, 8 months into my pregnancy. I worried that her presence might reopen wounds she'd left 2 years ago, undoing the progress my husband had made in healing. It had taken immense time and effort to help him overcome his pain. Seeing her now, I felt tense, uncertain about how her reappearance would affect our newfound peace. To my surprise, my stepdaughter's calm demeanor alleviated my initial fears. She wasn't short tempered anymore. At first glance, she appeared unchanged, her sharp facial features still striking, but interaction revealed a transformation. She seemed genuinely happy, but my husband was tense, and I reassured him that everything's fine. My stepdaughter's eyes cast downward, her voice filled with remorse as she apologized for her past behavior, acknowledging the pain she had caused. She wanted to rejoin our family and become a supportive, loving elder sister. Convinced of her sincerity, we welcomed her back with open arms. In a heartfelt reunion, she first hugged her father tightly, expressing how deeply she had missed him. Then she turned to me and hugged me tightly too. But as her father reminded her of my pregnancy, she quickly adjusted to a gentle side hug and then took her luggage and went upstairs to her former bedroom. After settling into her old bedroom, she joined us for a warm family dinner. Laughter and stories flowed effortlessly, rekindling our bond. I exchanged a knowing glance with my husband. I told you she'd come around. And his loving gaze met mine. The past few days were a whirlwind of bonding and laughter. My stepdaughter took charge, planning a baby shower. Her smile was contagious. For the first time in years, I saw a genuine sparkle in her eyes. This will be a day you'll never forget for the rest of your life, she said, her voice full of excitement. For a split second, her expression changed. It was a tiny flicker, but I caught a glimpse of something else, maybe mischief, maybe something more. It vanished so fast, I wondered if I imagined it. We locked eyes and I sensed something unspoken, but her bright smile returned, and I brushed off my doubts. I've got this, she said, bubbling with excitement. Just relax and enjoy the surprise. I pushed aside my paranoia, chalking it up to pregnancy. My stepdaughter was happy, and that's all that mattered. Watching her plan with her dad, I felt grateful. This was a fresh start for all of us. But still, that fleeting glance lingered. I felt uneasy, but I finally brushed it aside and eagerly waited for my baby shower. The day had finally arrived, and my stepdaughter's meticulous planning had transformed the venue into a breathtakingly beautiful wonderland. It will sound a bit novelish, so bear with me. As I stepped into the luxurious garden hall, I felt like I had entered a dream world. The soft golden light spilling through the crystal chandeliers enveloped me, transporting me to a realm of enchantment. Delicate pastel hues, lush greenery, and exquisite floral arrangements danced before my eyes, each detail meticulously crafted to celebrate the upcoming arrival. The buffet offered finger sandwiches, tartlets, and macaroons. A champagne fountain and mimosa bar delighted guests. To ensure every moment was preserved, video cameras and drones recorded the celebration, broadcasting it live on strategically placed screens throughout the venue. My stepdaughter's attention to detail had created an enchanting celebration. I felt deeply touched, knowing she'd poured her heart into making this day unforgettable. Satisfied with everything, I mingled with the guests, receiving their lovely gifts. As the moment to cut the cake arrived, I anticipated something stunning, but the reality surpassed my wildest expectations in a terrifying way. Simultaneously, a drone swooped in, broadcasting the disturbing masterpiece live on screens, earning a unified gasp of horror from the guests. The cake's sloppy appearance wasn't the worst part. The inscription, "Congrats on baby trapping my dad, gold digger," left me stunned. Those words changed the whole atmosphere. The place went silent as if everyone was holding their breath. Then whispers spread like wildfire, with guests exchanging shocked, uncomfortable glances. I felt embarrassed, angry, and hurt. My face burned as people stared, their faces filled with surprise, curiosity, and judgment. Some looked away, clearly uncomfortable, while others leaned in, eager for drama. The celebration turned awkward. What was meant to be a joyful occasion now felt tainted. As I grappled with shock and confusion, my stepdaughter stepped forward, seizing the microphone. She addressed everyone and then directly accused me of trapping her father and separating him from her mother, labeling me a homewrecker. Additionally, she claimed I had baby trapped her dad to distract him from her and her mother. Her humiliating speech concluded with a harsh indictment. I only wanted his money, not love, and everything I touched always gets destroyed. That was the last straw for my husband, and he made some phone calls. Our lawyer, a wedding guest who had departed early, returned after my husband's urgent call. Perplexed, he listened as my husband recounted the events, and my husband instructed him to initiate defamation proceedings. As the lawyer began making arrangements, my stepdaughter approached, her face twisted in anger. Security intervened, gently but firmly restraining her. Escort her out, my husband directed. As security guided her towards the exit, she shot me a venomous glance. I proved my point, she shrieked. You ruined my perfect life. You're a home wrecker and gold digger. You don't belong here. With conviction, my husband declared, from this moment on, our unborn child is my sole focus. I'm severing ties with you. You're no longer my daughter. Overwhelmed, I tried to shut myself in a nearby room, seeking escape. I attempted to lock the door, but my husband arrived just in time, catching it halfway. He gently pushed it open and wrapped me in his arms, calming me down. It's my turn to support you, he whispered. To ensure my well-being and our babies, I started therapy. The therapist advised my husband to shield me from stress. For 3 days, he's been lifting my spirits, but the pain lingers. Now that you've heard my side, AITA for marrying my husband and potentially disrupting his relationship with his daughter? Or am I NTA and innocent? Update 1. Hey everyone, it's been a month since my last update, and I want to start by expressing my heartfelt gratitude for your thoughtful comments and understanding. Your validation means a lot. It's reassuring to know I'm not the one in the wrong, NTA, and not the villain in this situation. Now onto the update. I'm thrilled to share that my pregnancy journey has come to an end, despite some challenges. Due to the immense stress and turmoil, I gave birth to a baby boy prematurely and faced several complications. Thankfully, both my baby and I are now doing well. My husband, understandably upset, attributed the complications to his daughter's actions. He still refused to acknowledge her as his child and wanted to pursue further legal action against her for the trauma we endured. Our lawyer is handling the situation, but I'm currently in the dark about the progress. On doctor's orders, I've been shielded from any potentially distressing information to ensure my recovery and minimize stress. I mainly wanted to update you despite the ordeal. My baby and I are healthy and thriving, and I'll update you once I receive information. Update 2. Hello again, everyone. After a 2-month break, I'm here and I feel grateful for the outpouring of support and well wishes for my baby and me. We're both healthy, but I'm navigating postpartum life, which has been a challenging journey, both physically and emotionally. As for the update, my husband has been keeping me in the dark, but the court has intervened. As a crucial witness, my presence is now mandatory, and he'll have to fill me in. Considering my health, the court date has been postponed by another 2 months. He said that their lawyer is trying to prove that the defamation case is fake, and they randomly jumped into different topics to drag the case. There is no footage of my stepdaughter's speech at the baby shower. Even during her speech, she never admitted anything about the cake. It complicated everything. The court hearing took a dramatic turn when my husband's ex-wife testified against me, weaving a web of deceitful accusations. She falsely claimed that he cheated on her with me, despite their divorce being finalized before we met. However, the evidence was manipulated to suggest we had a prior relationship, misleading the court. According to her testimony, I allegedly orchestrated a secret affair with my husband while they were still married, lavishing in expensive gifts and vacations. She produced fake emails, text messages, and photos which appeared convincing at first glance. Furthermore, she accused me of being a gold digger, exploiting my husband's wealth and influence. Her narrative portrayed me as a manipulative homewrecker who callously disregarded their marital vows. My stepdaughter, the one that has been accused of defamation, backed up her mother's claims and said that she had witnessed this cheating with her own eyes. My husband's testimony directly contradicted his ex-wife's accusations, affirming that we met only after his divorce was finalized. In a surprising turn, my husband also presented conclusive evidence that his ex-wife was the one who cheated on him, ultimately leading to their divorce. The court's initial understanding was that both parties had been unfaithful, leveling the playing field. However, this misconception was at last rectified by our lawyer, proving that my husband didn't cheat. It was a small victory. But the defamation case remains. Guys, I'm really scared. Will I finally get justice? Update 3. Hello everyone, I'm back after a 2-month hiatus. I'm overwhelmed by the outpouring of support and comments. Thank you all for being invested in my story. I won't keep you in suspense any longer. It's time for an update on the defamation case. Entering the courtroom as a novice, I felt nervous, but reassurances from my husband and lawyer eased my concerns. Recognizing former co-workers and eyewitnesses in attendance brought comfort, knowing they could verify the facts. The hearing commenced with our lawyer's formal greeting to the court, followed by a direct accusation of defamation against my stepdaughter. He presented evidence, including footage that was recorded till the cake reveal and my horrified expression from the baby shower, which triggered a fresh wave of anxiety within me. However, I remained composed. The courtroom screen displayed the unsettling footage and a photograph of the deliberately vandalized cake. Its deformity was disturbing. He accused my stepdaughter of ruining the cake. He emphasized that such juvenile behavior had irreparably tarnished a joyous occasion meant to celebrate the arrival of my child. The opposing lawyer jumped up, objecting vigorously. This evidence is circumstantial and a waste of the court's time. But the judge firmly said, "Objection overruled." Undeterred, our lawyer pressed on. This was a premeditated plan to defame my clients, driven by spite. She couldn't accept her father moving on and sought revenge. He highlighted her duplicitous behavior, pretending friendship while secretly plotting. The opposing lawyer sprang up again. "Objection!" He presented a dubious bill in my name, alleging I purchased a damaged cake to defame my stepdaughter. Our lawyer countered that this bill proved nothing. Given the fact that I was under public eye the whole time, it would have been highly unlikely for me to carry out such an act without being noticed. The opposing lawyer proposed an alternative theory, suggesting I had bribed a household staff member to vandalize the cake. However, this claim was swiftly dismissed due to the lack of concrete supporting evidence. Both of them took testimonials from different witnesses. Some of them said the truth, while some lied, confusing the judge. This made every testimony unreliable. Our lawyer produced conclusive CCTV footage of the bakery from where the cake was purchased. It showed my stepdaughter buying the cake, debunking the opposing claims. The opposing lawyer shifted tactics, suggesting, maybe your client intentionally damaged the cake to frame my client. Then our lawyer countered decisively that the scenario is highly unlikely. Considering the fact that I was under public eye the whole time, it would have been extremely difficult for me to carry out such an act without being noticed. The opposing lawyer proposed an alternative theory suggesting I had bribed a household staff member to vandalize the cake. However, this claim was swiftly dismissed due to the lack of concrete supporting evidence. The opposing lawyer struggled to regain footing, shifting focus to our relationship prior to marriage. Isn't it true you began dating while still married? Our lawyer intervened. That's irrelevant and already addressed in previous testimony. The judge intervened. Counselor, please stay on topic. But the opposing lawyer persisted, attempting to muddy the waters. However, our lawyer swiftly brought the real topic back on track. Now the real game began. Our lawyer cleverly set a trap while questioning my stepdaughter. He intentionally misstated the details of the cake vandalism to gauge my stepdaughter's reaction. Basically, he wanted to trick her into revealing the authentic details. The misstated details included damage occurring upon arrival at the party, message written in chocolate frosting, cake boxes left open and ribbons untied. However, the actual vandalism involved damage occurring before the cake was brought out, message written in red icing, cake tiers pushed over causing collapse, removal and replacement of the cake topper with a mocking note, tampering with cake decorations, tilting of the cake stand. My stepdaughter's correction of the misstated details revealed her intimate knowledge of the vandalism, including 1. Type of icing used, red icing. 2. Timing of damage, before cake was brought out. 3. Method of damage, pushing cake tiers over. 4. Removal and replacement of cake topper. 5. Tampering with decorations. 6. Tilting of cake stand. This level of detail implied her direct involvement in the vandalism. Our lawyer's tactic exposed my stepdaughter's familiarity with the incident, undermining her claims of innocence and strengthening our case. The opposing lawyer attempted to downplay the significance, suggesting it's just common sense. However, our lawyer deftly countered. Common sense can't account for such specific details. Only someone involved would know those nuances. Realizing that he had no way to win the case, he shot an apologetic glance at his client and sat down on his bench. Our lawyer went to my stepdaughter and said there's no point in denying the truth and that she should come clean. My stepdaughter admitted to the crime. Our lawyer revealed that before leaving the party, she had screamed, "I prove my point. You ruined my perfect life. You're a home wrecker and gold digger. You don't belong here." Our lawyer seemed to have saved this revelation for last. My stepdaughter confessed that she despised me for trying to take her mother's place. She despised the fact that I was a peasant and thought I could become a queen while her mother missed her father and wanted to reconcile. But I closed the way. She couldn't handle the toxicity, so she left. But upon hearing that I was having a baby, she understood that I was trying to replace her as well as my child. So she wanted revenge and desired to defame me and cause a scandal so that my husband would think I'm a gold digger and leave me. However, my husband's trust in me was too strong, and her plan backfired. She ended her confession by looking at me and saying, "I hate you for ruining my perfect life." With a triumphant smile, our lawyer declared that he had successfully proven my stepdaughter's guilt in the defamation case. Furthermore, he recommended additional charges for disorderly conduct and pregnancy-related harassment. The court concurred, ruling that my stepdaughter would face 1. A fine of $20,000, 2. Up to 5 years in jail. The judge formally announced the verdict, holding my stepdaughter accountable for her harmful actions. As the police seized her and led her away, her biological mother broke down, tearfully embracing her daughter and refusing to let go, before ultimately being forced to move away. She dejectedly left the courtroom. Our lawyer congratulated us and left too. Witnessing my stepdaughter's punishment was tough, but I knew it was necessary. I was relieved to see my husband's calm demeanor, showing no signs of denial about his daughter's actions. After thanking our lawyer, we headed home. Overwhelmed and drained, I collapsed onto the bed. Well, that's finally over. Good riddance. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for standing by me throughout this challenging journey. Your unwavering support and encouragement meant the world to me, especially with each update. Thank you all so much. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.